Death is inevitable. Everyone has to go through death at some point of their life. However, cats are special because they're believed to have 9 lives. What would you do if you had 9 lives and you're down to the last one? How would you survive death? Welcome to The Chill, and I'm Ali Riza to tell you how to beat death in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Let's start with what happens in the movie Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. The movie opens with a shooting star that penetrates the dark forest, filling it with life from all forms. Thus, the dark forest was born. Puss in Boots is hosted in a governor's home 2 years after the events of the previous movie. He sings and is greeted happily by the people of Cordova. They celebrate his presence with songs and drinks while Puss exhales his speech. He plays with the fireworks when suddenly an earthen giant monster wakes up as a result. It strikes the party, kidnapping several people in its tree bag. The guests run frantically, trying to escape the capture, and the party comes to an end. Puss in Boots faces the giant. If I were there, I would have hid immediately under a low bridge. It is hopeless to run around trying to outreach the giant because they have a good land view. Hiding under a low place or staying still near a big building might help distract the giant to others who are trying to outrun. The town of Delmore rejoices as Puss in Boots starts getting into action. The giant takes the bell from the tall tower. It hits Puss with a bell while Puss successfully escapes through the attack. After a while, he succeeds in taking control of it, but is soon struck by a bell and killed. The best way to beat death by falling bell is to try to move out of the way before the bell hits you. If you can't move, try to curl up into a ball and brace for impact. If you're in an area with a lot of furniture or other objects, try to take cover behind them. If you're near a wall, try to get yourself as close to it as possible. Finally, if you're wearing a helmet, make sure it's securely fastened to your head. If I were Puss, I would try to show off the victory after confirming the giant is actually harmless and I'm at a safe place. Being aware of the surroundings is really important, especially if you're fighting against evil. Also, Puss has great reflex, but he's busy flexing his style. When he wakes up, a doctor tells him that he only has 1 life left because he has already passed away 8 times. The doctor asks him to recall how many times he has already died. Puss was very lightheaded. He dismissed the concern, but the doctor insisted. Puss then tries to remember how many times he died. Puss starts recalling all the times he died so far. Puss was running with the bulls. He stops for a second to talk to a beautiful girl when he gets crushed by a pack of bulls. Here's how to beat death by bull crashing. There's no sure way fire to beat death by bull crashing, as it's an incredibly dangerous situation. However, it is possible to reduce the risk of injury or death by following certain safety guidelines. These include wearing protective gear such as a helmet, knee and elbow pads, and a padded vest, making sure the bull is in good condition and has been properly trained, and having someone experience a bull riding supervise the activity. Additionally, runners should practice the running escape routes before the bull race if they feel it's getting out of control or if they're uncomfortable. Finally, runners should be aware of their surroundings and the other people and be prepared to move out of the way quickly if needed. If I were Puss, I would wear as many protective gear as possible. Next, I would be more aware of my surroundings so that any kind of unexpected dangerous event couldn't harm me. In addition, I would have ran faster than shifting my focus to something else than the bull race. I mean, I could have talked to that beautiful girl even after winning the race, right? Puss was playing poker during one of his adventures. As he wins the game, the poker dog attacks and ends his other life. Here's how to beat death by being bitten by dogs. The best way to avoid death by dog attack is to be aware of the warning signs of aggression in dogs and to take steps to avoid contact with any dogs that appear to be aggressive. If you do encounter an aggressive dog, or in this case, a losing pack of dogs, beware that this can trigger the dog's predatory instinct. I would also sit next to a window or door to quickly make my way out and not sit in a completely dark and enclosed room. Also, if you feel threatened, using a chair or other large object to protect yourself can also be a great way to beat death. If I were Puss, instead of smirking after the win, I would have handled the situation in a way that would not trigger the dogs, or I could have prepared something to protect myself from them beforehand, keeping the aggressiveness in mind. Puss drinks a strange milk and gets drunk. He gets tipsy and falls off the cliff, ending his life. Here's how to beat death by falling off the cliff. Unfortunately, there's no way to beat death by falling off a cliff. Falling from a great height can result in serious injury or death. It is important to take the necessary precautions to avoid such a situation. If you find yourself near the edge of a cliff, move away from the edge and to a safe area. If I were Puss, I would have attached a parachute, just in case. Additionally, it is important to wear protective gear when engaging in activities that involve heights. One other way could have been tying a rope around the waist just in case something happens. This would have prevented direct death and possibly life. Puss loves working on his muscles. He tries a heavyweight, which is clearly way out of his league. He even shows off by trying to carry it alone and gets crushed by the weight. Here's how to beat death by being crushed by a weight. Death by being crushed by a spotter is an unfortunate and often fatal accident that can occur during weightlifting. It occurs when a spotter fails to correctly spot a lifter during a lift, resulting in the lifter being crushed by the weight. This can lead to serious injury or even death in some cases. In order to prevent death by being crushed by a spotter, there are a few safety steps that must be followed. The most important step is to always have a spotter when lifting heavy weights. A spotter should be someone who is knowledgeable about the lift and can correctly spot the lifter in the event of an emergency. Additionally, the spotter should be aware of any risks associated with the lift, such as the possibility of the lifter being crushed by the weight. Above all, I would leave my pride out of the window if I were Puss when I'm lifting weights. If I were Puss, I would have been careful with pulling weights, especially anything twice my size. I would keep a lever near my feet and a hook at the center of the spotter. This is basic science to keep a plan B. Pulling weights twice the size can easily snap the waist or the neck if things go wrong. Puss is halfway done with life counts. However, he isn't careful yet. During World War I, Puss inspires an army to revolutionize by sacrificing himself in the cannon shot. Here's how to beat death by being shot by a cannon. Unfortunately, this is not possible. Death by being shot out of a cannon is an instant and fatal form of death. The force of the blast combined with the extreme speed and velocity of the body would almost certainly cause serious injury or death. Best way to avoid such death is to stay away from being shoved into any cannon of any type. If I were Puss, I would avoid being inside the cannon, but if I'm left with no choice, I would cover myself with water and make sure to arrange a soft landing just in case I survive the fire shot. Puss decides to treat himself with some food, but in the middle of the dinner, he realizes he has been eating shellfish. This swells his face and he soon ends his another life because of an allergic reaction. Here's how to beat death by being poisoned by an allergic reaction. There's no surefire way to prevent accidental death by an allergy to shellfish. However, there are steps that can be taken to help reduce the risk, such as learning the signs and symptoms of an allergic reaction to shellfish. Puss could feel the signs and symptoms of the allergy, such as swollen face and tongue, but it didn't help him recognize an allergic reaction because he wasn't aware. Avoiding shellfish and shellfish-containing products is a must, and confirming the contents of the food beforehand is even more important. Even if you don't have a known allergy to shellfish, it's best to avoid it and any products that may contain shellfish, as the reactions are horrendous. If I were Puss, I would wear a medical alert bracelet or necklace. This can help make others aware of my allergy in case of an emergency. I would also carry an epinephrine auto-injector or EpiPen in my boots all the times. If I do have an allergic reaction, an EpiPen can be used to quickly inject epinephrine, which can help reduce the severity of the reaction. Puss tries to make some cake which ends in disaster. He gets warned by a cookie friend, but he still opens the oven and ends up getting burned. Overheating the oven and getting burned accidentally can happen anytime. However, it is possible to minimize the risk of burning by taking certain safety precautions while cooking. Some safety tips include wearing protective clothing such as long sleeves, an apron, and oven mitts, keeping children, or in this case cookies, away from hot surfaces, never leaving food unattended on the stove, and always using pot holders or even mitts when handling hot items. Additionally, it's important to have a fire extinguisher and/or water on hand in case of a fire. If I were Puss, I would use a stick to open the extremely hot oven after paying heed to my cookie friend's advice. I would also have a fire extinguisher near me in case a fire breaks out. I would try my best to not bake anything, as I'm not a good baker in the first place. The doctor says that Puss used 8 out of his 9 lives, and now it's high time to put an end to his adventure and retire. The doctor suggests that Puss stays with someone that is like family to him, but the popular cat seems not to have anyone he can call and love like a family. The doctor gives the address of a lady called Mama Luna, who's a cat fancier, so that he could spend his last life and retire peacefully. However, everything the doctor said didn't put any words of heed, and soon he left the doctor's office. Puss heads to a bar and sits there while drinking milk. He thinks about the doctor prophecy and concludes to himself that the doctor is a quack. He's deeply in thoughts, and soon he notices that his company has been joined by a wolf. This world somehow seems to know Puss very well, but the cat has no idea who he is. Puss later realizes that the wolf is a bounty hunter and has come to kill Puss in Boots for a hefty reward. He becomes alert and completely engages in combat, but soon realizes that the wolf is stronger than he is. The wolf fiercely attacks him, and for the first time the cat is scared as reality and the events from his past life and death dawns on him. He runs into a toilet to hide and escapes through the sewers. Finally, the reality sets in that Puss has 1 life left. Puss runs into the woods, walking devastatingly through the deep dark forest in the middle of the night. He journeys all through the night until daybreak, when he arrives at Mama Luna's cat rescuer shelter. Initially dismissing it, Puss later grudgingly agrees to travel to the home of Mama Luna, an elderly cat lady, to be a team pet after being injured and dangerously close to death in a battle with a black hooded wolf that evening in a neighborhood tavern. Puss takes off his weapons and hat and buries them into the garden under the flowers. He then heartbrokenly says a eulogy to the grave and heads to the doorstep of Mama Luna. Mama Luna accepts Puss in Boots into her home and he meets more than 100 other cats. Now this has become his new home, and although he found it hard time to adjust to the new life, Puss starts to adjust to being just a cat. He eats cat food like a cat. He gradually learns and accepts the life of a lap cat. After some time has passed, he encounters a dog that has been transformed into a cat, but their interaction is cut short when Goldilocks and the three bears arrive to look for him. Goldilocks and the three bears are a highly wanted family of thieves. They burst into the house and take Mama Luna hostage. After looking through the cats in the house, Puss in Boots is found, but they did not recognize him. Goldilocks even argues that he looks nothing like Puss in Boots, comparing him with a wanted poster she grabbed. Luckily, Puss now looks like a domesticated, innocent cat that cares about nothing but his milk and catnips. The intruders are interrupted by the baby bear, who leads the group to the garden where Puss had previously buried his belongings. The group examines the belongings and finally come to the agreement that Puss must be dead, or else he would have never left his belongings in such a manner. But after discovering his grave, they unintentionally inform Puss, who was eavesdropping on them, to find their intention, that there is a wishing star and that the map pointing to it would be given to Big Jack Horner that evening. Puss is surprised by the secret and connects the dots to be the solution for his only problem. He thinks it as a perfect opportunity for him to get all his previous 9 lives back. He takes his belongings as the group discusses and decides to steal the map from Big Jack Horner. He doesn't forget his newly found companion, the dog friend. He leaves the cat house and quickly runs to the house of the Big Jack Horner to quietly steal the map. Meanwhile, at Jack Horner's restaurant, Puss watches his strange activity from the fence. As he plans on how to sneak in without being caught by the guards, he notices his dog friend followed him till the house. After some planning, Puss gains entrance into the restaurant through the chimney and sees the map to the Great Wishing Star. It is being delivered to Jack in his office. He follows them into Jack's office, and when Jack's not seeing, Puss opens the box and gets the map. Turns out, inside the box there was another cat hiding. It kicks Puss right on his face and grabs the map from him. This cat is his former friend and lover Kitty, who is a badass as him. However, Kitty's not happy to see Puss because in the past, Puss betrayed her and she still remembers it to every second. When Puss entered Jack's office to take the map, he never expected to run into Kitty Softpaws, who's still angry with him from an earlier incident in Santa Columba. As the two cats tussle with the map, Goldie and the three bears break the ceiling and enter the scene. This grabs Jack's attention to the robbery that's about to happen in his office. Puss sees this as an opportunity to get the map and he runs. Jack's henchman tries to catch them. Jack even uses some of his magic artifacts to tackle Puss and the others. Puss and Kitty decided to be allies for the time being as they escape from Goldie, the three bears and Jack. As soon as they get out safely, the two start a fight and take the map for themselves. Suddenly, the map showers the magic words leading to the start and they decide to follow the writings. Puss, Kitty, and Perito, the friend dog who had previously accompanied him, managed to escape after a fight with Jack Horner's thugs and Goldie's gang, taking the map that directs them to the dark forest with him. However, Jack has been following them and their location through his magic crystal ball. Jack orders his men to head out to capture the two, while Goldie and the three bears follow the faint trail of the two cats traveling towards the dark forest. They soon arrive at the location shown by the map. Kitty holds Puss's hands and they both jump into the barrier. When the group enters the woodland, they learn that depending on who's holding the map, the dimension can change into a different scenery. For Puss and Kitty, the realm changes into a horrible one, whereas Perito is granted a lovely setting. As Perito's journey is both safe and beautiful, the trio decides to entrust the map to Perito for the time being and reach the end through the beautiful road. Following them, the others have also entered the forest, who see the same beautiful forest as Puss and Kitty. The first difficulty in the forest is the bundle of rose plants with dangerous tricks in them. After fighting for some time, they find a way out and safely overcome the path. They head to the next location, which requires a lovely boat ride. Puss gets Kitty to shave his beard when they're going downriver. Puss then throws away a stick, and Perito follows, causing the latter to jump into the water to get the stick. Unfortunately, Perito gets kidnapped by Jack. Jack threatens to kill Perito, which starts a huge fight. In the midst of the battle, Puss notices the hooded wolf once more and flees in terror, distracting Kitty and allowing Goldie to get the map. Perito finds Puss in the middle of a changed landscape as Goldie is now in possession of the map. Perito sees Puss terrified and shaking. He helps him calm his nerves. Puss explains to Purito how he was scared of the wolf who has promised to take his last life from him. Purito advises Puss share this information with Kitty so that they can work together in a better way, but Puss refuses. He tells Purito that Kitty would never trust him because of the past they had. This leads to a whole new conversation between the two as Puss explains what transpired in Santa Colomba. Turns out that he and Kitty were in deep love and were supposed to get married. He abandoned Kitty at the altar in the community's church on the day of their alleged engagement, a decision he has regretted ever since. Because she believed she could never compete with someone who loves himself more than her, Kitty overhears their chat and admits that she too has never gone to the altar. Meanwhile, Goldie and the three bears follow the map and they end up in front of a house that looks exactly like their home. The group enters the house and the bears make themselves at home, eating and drinking all they like. Goldie felt strange at the event and could only think of it as a trap. As she walks around, she sees their past when she met the three bears as a little orphan. On the other hand, Puss apologizes to Kitty about their past and shares how he later regretted leaving her. She accepts his apology and the two turn into good friends. Jack also reveals his selfish reason to want the wishing stars. He wants to dominate the world of magic and possess every artifact, potion, and anything related to magic. Puss, Kitty, and Purito make a plan to get the map back. As the three bears and Goldie emotionally recollect their memories, Puss and Kitty catch up to them. The two succeed in taking back the map from Goldie's party, but Purito is once more taken prisoner. Puss accidentally becomes caught in the Cave of Lost Souls after touching the map when the dimension changes, and he tells Kitty to rescue Purito. Inside the cave, Puss meets up with his previous selves and the hooded wolf once more. The latter identifies himself as Death and says he wants to take possession of Puss's final existence as a retaliation for eluding him. Kitty and Purito watch in horror as Puss shamefully flees with a map. In the meanwhile, Goldie says she longs for a true family. To the bears' dismay, they agree to assist her if that is what she genuinely wants. Puss runs into Death once more, and the two engage in a bloody combat. Death reluctantly chooses to spare Puss, though as the latter courageously resists him, adding that they shall meet again before departing. Kitty and Puss make up, and Puss offers Kitty the map, but she doesn't need it. After eating a cookie that makes him grow enormous, Jack suddenly emerges from his pouch and grabs the map away from Puss and Kitty. The wishing star violently implodes as Jack attempts to reconstruct the map, causing it to collapse and kill him. Purito is able to divert Jack long enough for Puss, Kitty, and Goldie to recapture and rip the map to bits. In the aftermath, Puss and Kitty begin dating again as Goldie finally embraces being a bear family member. Purito also receives his name at last. Later, they rob the governor of a boat and head out to meet up with some old acquaintances. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's been a pleasure sharing this amazing movie with you. I hope you enjoyed it and that it was of help to you. We've covered a lot of craziness in this video, but there's still so much more fun to have. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to this channel. That way, you'll get the latest updates and new videos in your feed. Also, don't forget to like and comment on this video if you found it useful. Your feedback is really important, and I value your opinion. Finally, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And that's it for now. I hope to see you next time. Until then, take care and stay safe. Bye!